Chapter 780. Jianghu Pouch. The fourth floor of the Linglong Pagoda. Xiao Han had been in seclusion in the fourth floor of the Linglong Pagoda for thousands of years. During these thousands of years, Xiao Han had been pondering over the cultivation method of that ancient cultivation technique. He would only go out occasionally to meet his family and friends. Most of the time he was meditating in seclusion. Of course, thousands of years of seclusion in the Linglong Pagoda was less than a day in the outside world. The most difficult part of this ancient mental cultivation technique is that I won't be able to bear all the soul memories that flow into my soul. It will cause me to have a split personality. Xiao Han frowned. Unless I erase all the memories of the immortals so that their souls are pure, I won't be disturbed when I absorb them. It will be very refreshing and I won't have to worry about my soul exploding. As a matter of fact, Xiao Han had hit the nail on the head. Moreover, this seemed to be the only feasible method. However, even though it seemed feasible, it was impossible to carry it out. Erasing the memories of all the immortals in the entire immortal world. That was simply insane. It was no different from killing all the immortals. If humans had no memories, what was the difference between them and the walking dead? To resist the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts, doing such a perverse thing was also not a good idea. No. This kind of thing requires a ruthless person. A few hundred days later, should I let everyone in the immortal world hide in the Jianghu pouch first? Xiao Han thought of another plan, but soon he overturned it, putting aside the fact that the Jianghu pouch can't contain all the immortals in the immortal world. Even if it can, the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts and the heaven-devouring beasts might still find out. Moreover, even if the combination doesn't find out, it will immediately devour the mortal world, killing all the mortals. The immortals would rather die in battle to protect the mortal world than to watch the mortal world being plunged into misery and suffering. Xiao Han thought about it for a long time but still couldn't come up with a solution for the time being. Forget it. Let's not think about it for the time being. Xiao Han stood up, stretched his body and walked out. Outside the secret cultivation room, Bai Shi and the other beings in the alternate dimensions were standing there in a hurry. As soon as they saw Xiao Han coming out, they swarmed towards him anxiously. These beings in the alternate dimensions knew that their master had been frowning for thousands of years, trying to think of a solution. His mind was haggard. "Master, you?" Bai Shi said with concern. "Master, have you found a way to deal with the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts?" "Who?" Xiao Han let out a breath of impure air, his face showing an expression of helplessness. "Master, we pledge our lives to follow you. That was it. Master, please lead us." He directly fought against the fusion of the heaven-devouring beast. "We didn't hesitate to self-detonate to win an opportunity for our master. Master's saber intent can cut through space-time and create a world. As long as we can win even the slightest chance for master, I believe that master will definitely be able to kill the combined heaven-devouring beast." World 99 bared his teeth and took the initiative to ask for battle. Logically speaking, these 100 extra-dimensional beings had cultivated in the Linglong Pagoda for countless years and had all become high-grade immortal thearchs. A total of 100 high-grade immortal thearchs should have been able to pose a threat to the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts. However, Xiao Han shook his head. "This can only be a pointless sacrifice. You probably don't know the strength of the heaven-devouring beasts." Xiao Han asked himself honestly. If he fought with all his strength, he could instantly kill 100 extra-dimensional beings. First, he could injure them with a jolt of his mental strength. Then he could use his saber intent to cut them down, ending the battle in an instant. I can say with certainty that the heaven-devouring beasts will not give you the chance to self-detonate. Not to mention the combination of the heaven-devouring beast. If you all attack together, you will only die in battle. If you all fight with brute force, even if you all kill all the immortals, it will still be like hitting a rock with an egg. After hearing his words, these extra-dimensional beings fell into silence. We can only cultivate that ancient cultivation technique successfully. Apart from that, there is no other way. Xiao Han said as if he was talking to himself. "Master, are you talking about that mental strength cultivation technique?" Bai Shi frowned and immediately said, "Master, that cultivation technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. We can't help Master much. However, when Master is cultivating, if you need our help, just say the word and we will definitely sacrifice our lives to help Master comprehend that cultivation technique." Huh. Hearing this, Xiao Han's mind suddenly flashed with a flash of inspiration. Wait. Xiao Han's body shook violently. He seemed to have found some clues. His eyes lit up like torches as he stared at the group of slaves. Bai Shi and the other extra-dimensional beings are all my slaves. Their souls worship me so I can search their memories at will. Their memories won't cause any burden to my soul. If all the immortals in the world of immortals are temporarily my slaves like Bai Shi and the others, then I can perfectly extract their memories. If the immortals temporarily become my slaves, apart from not being able to resist me, their cultivation base, their souls, and their memories won't be affected in any way. The key is that with the master-slave contract, the master can read the slave's memories without any hindrance. The slave's thoughts toward his master were very simple. There was only one thing: submission. Finally, Xiao Han had inadvertently grasped the key to cultivating that ancient cultivation technique that was impossible to cultivate successfully. Master, what did you think of? Bai Shi also noticed Xiao Han's unusual behavior. I thought of something. Good. There's no time to lose. Xiao Han said quickly. Listen up, I'm going to set up a ritual to extract your souls and see if it works. Yes, Master. In the Jianghu bag. In Xiao Han's realm. At this moment, Xiao Han had already set up a formation similar to a chessboard in the void according to the description of the cultivation technique. Latitude and longitude. 100 immortal emperor-level extra-dimensional beings sat cross-legged at the intersection of the array's latitude and longitude. Xiao Han sat in the middle. Many crystals were placed in the array. They were used as energy to activate the array. These crystals were not expensive. They were not expensive. In the immortal realm, their number was relatively large. In addition, there were many strange and mysterious runes carved into the array. Below the void, a dense crowd of people had gathered, including Wu Mingqiu, Xiao Han's wife, and his son Xiaoan. All the mortals were looking up at Xiao Han. Most of them did not know what Xiao Han was going to do. But when they saw Xiao Han's solemn expression, they knew that he must be doing something extremely important. Thus the entire realm was silent. No one dared to say a word. Wu and Xiao Mingqiu, who knew what was going on, were discussing it with voice transmissions. Now the entire universe is in danger. The combination of the heaven-devouring beasts is about to be born. It can be said that the human race is in danger. This time, the hope to save the immortal realm and the human race. All of it has fallen on Xiao Han. I wonder if he can turn the tide. It's said that in order to turn the tide, one must cultivate that cultivation technique. I hope that junior brother Xiao Han can create a miracle this time. In the void. Now I'm going to extract your soul and mind power. Relax. Xiao Han said sternly. Yes, Master. The 100 extra-dimensional beings shouted in unison. The next moment, let's begin. Xiao Han nodded slightly. Soon after, a mysterious rune formed by pure mind power appeared above Xiao Han's head. The rune was like a deep pool, a black hole, an abyss. It produced a powerful suction force. At the same time, swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Light formed by the fluctuations of mind power shot out from the heads of the 100 extra-dimensional beings. Extract. Try extracting a bit first. Hong. The rune above Xiao Han's head sucked. 100 lives, 99 lives, 98 lives, 97 lives. 99% of the light of mind power from the 10 extra-dimensional beings was absorbed, leaving only a little to protect their bodies. Of course, the extraction of mind power could not be completely drained or they would die immediately. 99% of the soul power of the 10 extra-dimensional beings was absorbed directly into his own soul. 10 rays of light fused into the rune above Xiao Han's head. Immediately, the rune became even more powerful, its light shining brightly. Xiao Han could clearly feel that his soul had become stronger. There's no burden on my soul at all. Xiao Han's heart trembled. It's like drinking water or eating food. Ha! It really seems to work. Xiao Han was so overjoyed that he couldn't help but throw his head back and laugh wildly. The next moment, boom! 99% of the mind power of the remaining 99 extra-dimensional beings was instantly extracted by Xiao Han. Fusion. There's no burden. It's very pure. It's very simple. Xiao Han stood up. Then, the rune above his head flashed, and the 100 rays of light returned to the brain of the extra-dimensional beings. I finally found a way to overcome this obstacle. Good, there's no time to lose, I'll go look for the Grand Mist Emperor now. Xiao Han's figure flickered and he left the cosmos sack. Immortal world. Inside a pavilion in a famous historical site. Little friend Xiao Han, you said you found the best way to cultivate that ancient cultivation technique? The Grand Mist Emperor looked at Xiao Han with an incredulous expression. Yes. As long as you let go of your soul and temporarily become my slave, establishing a master-servant relationship with me, when I extract the soul power, there won't be any burden due to the different memories. Because it's an instinct for a master to read the slave's memories. You have the highest authority. Xiaohan's voice was loud and clear. Good. The Grand Mist Emperor also understood the crux of the matter in a split second. Little friend Xiaohan, you're really something. Indeed, this is the only way. To think that you could think of this. This old man is really impressed and sincerely convinced. To be continued. Chapter 781. Xiaohan explained his plan to the Grand Mist Emperor. $23x. It was simple. He wanted all the immortals in the immortal world to become his slaves, merging the thoughts of master and servant. Then Xiaohan would arrange a ceremony to extract 99% of the soul force from all the slaves. In this way, he would be able to successfully cultivate the eternal mystic art. Hearing Xiaohan's plan, the Grand Mist Emperor was enlightened in an instant. Like waking up from a dream. Even the Grand Mist Emperor's eyes shone with a dazzling light. It was as if he had found the lighthouse in the middle of a lost road. The feeling of enlightenment. Originally, it was impossible to cultivate this miraculous art no matter what. The Grand Mist Emperor was an all-knowing existence, and as the leader of the immortal world since ancient times, he had long predicted that not only was it impossible to cultivate this miraculous spiritual force art, but if one tried to cultivate it recklessly, in the best-case scenario, one's mind would split, and in the worst-case scenario, one's mind would explode and they would die. However, after listening to Xiaohan's brilliant plan, the Grand Mist Emperor was thoroughly enlightened. At this point, he was completely in awe of Xiaohan's resourcefulness. However, the Grand Mist Emperor wants to convince all the immortals in the world to become my Xiaohan's slaves? This. Xiaohan frowned slightly. It's very difficult. Of course, I can only say with a clear conscience that I, Xiaohan, have absolutely no selfish motives, and have never thought of controlling the entire immortal world through this matter. Little friend Xiaohan, you don't have to be like this. The Grand Mist Emperor's expression turned serious. This old man is proficient in the art of reading minds, and I have long seen that little friend has a kind heart. In fact, you are not someone who fights for hegemony. In your state of mind, you have no desires and you are free and unfettered. You will never use this opportunity to enslave the immortals and rule the immortal world. After a pause, the Grand Mist Emperor stood up. Little friend Xiaohan, there's no time to lose. There's no time to lose. Hurry up and get ready. This old man will immediately notify the entire immortal world and have every immortal be prepared to sign a master-servant contract with you. Even this old man will sign a master-servant contract with you. There's not much time left before the fusion of the two heaven-devouring beasts, and the fusion of the two heaven-devouring beasts is about to take over the immortal world. We can't afford to waste any time now. Little friend Xiaohan had taken in so many slaves all at once. Do you have a problem? There shouldn't be any problems. Xiaohan pondered for a moment before nodding his head. You should know. The extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental technique that Xiaohan cultivated, aside from sharpening his mental power, also had the ability to enslave other living beings. Now Xiaohan's mental strength was so strong that it was undefeatable. Therefore, no matter who it was, Xiaohan could enslave them. Basically, Xiaohan could forcefully enslave some ordinary immortal emperors. Xiaohan had a certain chance of enslaving immortal emperors with higher cultivation realms. But now, all the immortals in the immortal world did not need Xiaohan to forcibly enslave them. They would voluntarily open up their soul and mental strength, submitting to Xiaohan and giving him their faith. In this way, Xiaohan did not need to use any tricks. He only needed to sweep his mental strength and he would be able to obtain a large number of immortal slaves. Grand Mist Emperor, as long as the immortals open up their soul and give me their faith without the slightest bit of resistance, there won't be any problems. Good. Little friend Xiaohan, I'll go inform the immortal world now. Also, this old man will hurry up and set up the formation to cultivate that mystical technique. The Grand Mist Emperor said with certainty. Little friend Xiaohan, prepare yourself. With that said, the Grand Mist Emperor left. Xiaohan took a deep breath and sat cross-legged, adjusting his mental state to its peak. At the same time, the Grand Mist Emperor directly appeared in the sky above the immortal world. His entire body emitted a dazzling radiance, and an immense aura of righteousness spread out, enveloping the entire immortal world. Seeing this, the densely packed immortals gathered together, looking up at the Grand Mist Emperor in the sky and uttering words of respect. The Grand Mist Emperor has appeared. It seems like something big is about to happen in our immortal world. It's probably to deal with the war against the heaven-devouring beasts. Yes, our immortal world, even the entire race, is in a state of near extinction. The Grand Mist Emperor is leading us in a final resistance, to turn the tide and save everything. Recently, the Grand Mist Emperor has also set up some formations in the sky above the immortal world. It seems to be used to fight against the heaven-devouring beast. Yes, at this moment, in the sky above the immortal world, densely packed formations like a chessboard appeared. The void was inlaid with many energy crystals and carved with a large number of ancient runes. Grand Mist Emperor, what plans do you have to protect the immortal world? Please tell us. We will definitely follow your orders and fight against the heaven-devouring beasts to the death. Even if we have to pay with our lives, we won't hesitate. Some of the more experienced high-level immortal emperors shouted. In the void. My fellow comrades in the immortal world, I'm sure you already know that the two heaven-devouring beasts are killing each other. But this isn't a good thing for our immortal world. On the contrary, it's the greatest tragedy and nightmare. Because the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts and heaven-devouring beasts will be born. It's an existence that no one can resist. Even this old man will be killed in an instant if he faces the combination. However, there's always a chance of survival. Now, we've found the only way to fight against the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts and heaven-devouring beasts. Immortals, please open your hearts and establish a master-servant contract with little friend Xiaohan. Then, transfer your mental strength to little friend Xiaohan without any hindrance, so that little friend Xiaohan can successfully cultivate the divine art to fight against the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts and heaven-devouring beasts. The Grand Mist Emperor was the totem of all the immortals in the immortal world. He was their pillar of faith, their spiritual sustenance. Today he had personally come out to speak. Moreover, the immortals also understood the seriousness of the matter. Therefore soon, Emperor, we'll offer our hearts and minds immediately. We'll worship Xiaohan. We'll become his slaves. As long as we can fight against the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts and heaven-devouring beasts, even if we have to sacrifice our lives, it's nothing. The Grand Mist Emperor nodded, then turned to Xiaohan. Little friend Xiaohan, you may begin. In the next moment, whoosh, Xiaohan rose into the air. Xiaohan sat cross-legged, his body emitting boundless light. He looked solemn and dignified. Everyone, after killing the combination of the heaven-devouring beasts and heaven-devouring beasts, I, Xiaohan, will automatically remove my slave relationship. You can rest assured about this. Moreover, as long as the immortal world is safe, I, Xiaohan, will immediately go into seclusion. I have no ambition to rule over the immortal world. Xiaohan spoke with fervor and assurance. Xiaohan, let's begin. We all believe in you. The immortals clamored. These immortals trusted Xiaohan very much. First, the Grand Mist Emperor supported Xiaohan unconditionally. Second, Xiaohan's battle strength was too strong. He killed 3 high-level immortal emperors as easily as picking up grass. In fact, even the Grand Mist Emperor was no match for Xiaohan. Therefore, if Xiaohan wanted to rule over the immortal world, there was no need for him to play such underhanded tricks. He could just use force to suppress them. In an instant, a dense crowd of immortals opened their hearts and minds to Xiaohan. Not resisting at all, power of faith surged towards Xiaohan like a tidal wave. To be continued. Chapter 782. Xiaohan's plan was progressing smoothly. 23x. Under the summons of the Grand Mist Emperor, all the immortals in the immortal world sat down cross-legged and looked down at Xiaohan with pious expressions. They opened up their hearts and souls, offering their most loyal faith to Xiaohan. In an instant, the vast immortal world was filled with a grand and solemn Sanskrit chant. One after another, the purest and most translucent halos of light appeared and swarmed towards Xiaohan. And at this moment, Xiaohan, his appearance was solemn and dignified. Every cell in his body was emitting a misty light, as pure and untainted as a diamond. Every ray of misty light was filled with the power of edification. The power of edification, expiation, and enlightenment. It was like directly rescuing people when they were on the wrong path, pulling them back from the edge of the cliff. In the past, Xiaohan had used the power of edification in the extinguishing heaven decimating earth mental technique to capture some slaves. But now, Xiaohan's mental force was like the midday sun. When he used the power of edification again, he was like a fish in water. A single ray of mental force could plant a seed of faith in the depths of the target's soul. Xiaohan could even make an ordinary true immortal submit to him with a single look. Now the immortals in the immortal world were opening up their hearts and souls to worship Xiaohan, releasing the power of faith to him. This made it even easier for Xiao Han to edify these immortals. The rays of power of faith were completely absorbed by Xiao Han's mental force and returned to the light ray. The light ray shone into the hearts of these immortals. Soul, directly branded one master-servant contract after another. Xiao Han's entire body was wrapped in a gorgeous halo of light. Heavenly flowers showered down. Golden lotuses sprouted from the ground, thousands of auspicious clouds bloomed, and auspicious qi filled the air. It was as if a deity had descended to the mortal world. Soon the immortals had become Xiao Han's slaves. The look in their eyes started to change. When they looked at Xiao Han, their eyes were filled with fanatical worship and faith. It was as if they were facing the god they had worshipped all their lives. They worshipped him with all their heart and soul, without the slightest blasphemy. He had become Xiao Han's slave. As for Xiao Han, he could sense that more and more immortals were under his control. With a single thought he could wipe them all out. Naturally, a sense of superiority arose from his bloodline. However, Xiao Han quickly dispelled this domineering attitude of a master. Deep in his heart he became humble. Xiao Han did not become the master of so many immortals because of him. After all, every single immortal had submitted to him. It was all for the sake of fighting against the combination of the heaven-devouring beast. The immortals were so righteous that they sacrificed their lives for justice. If Xiao Han developed a sense of superiority because of this, it would be a moral loss. Guard your heart. Don't be happy with material things, don't be sad about yourself, don't be arrogant. Xiao Han's state of mind was completely calm. In such a desireless state of mind, the light around Xiao Han's body grew more and more intense, more and more resplendent, more and more flawless. His face was holy and noble, like a god from the outer realms, untainted by dust. At this point, Xiao Han's state of mind was even more perfect. It was as if he had reached the level of a great sage from ancient times. There were no flaws at all. In terms of temperament, Xiao Han had made great progress again. The immortals who had already submitted to Xiao Han formed circles around him, chanting songs of praise as brilliant light shone from their mouths. This was no longer like signing a master-servant contract. It was more like countless immortals were working together with Xiao Han to write a great and heroic chapter of the immortal world. This kind of phenomenon caused the Grand Mist Emperor and other experienced immortal emperors to gasp in admiration. They were also amazed by Xiao Han and were sincerely convinced. Even the Grand Mist Emperor was thoroughly impressed by Xiao Han at this moment. He even had the impulse to worship Xiao Han willingly. Good. That's great. Little friend Xiao Han really meets all the requirements to save the immortal world. He's the perfect savior. The Grand Mist Emperor was extremely moved. His voice trembled. With the halo around him, this old man suddenly had an illusion that little friend Xiao Han is the protector and master of the immortal world that was born when the chaos of the immortal world was first formed. Forget it, don't hesitate any longer. Offer our faith. Open our hearts. Finally, the senior immortal emperors led by the Grand Mist Emperor unconditionally opened their hearts to Xiao Han. Whoosh, 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 dense rays of spiritual light swept over them. The eyes of the Grand Mist Emperor and the others began to change. Soon, all of them became Xiao Han's slaves. About a few hours later, Xiao Han stopped releasing spiritual light rays. He retracted his aura and slowly stood up. Countless immortals sat cross-legged in the void in all directions. With the Grand Mist Emperor as the leader, all of them looked at Xiao Han with eyes full of worship and faith. There was no trace of disobedience. In other words, Xiao Han had become the master of all the immortals in the immortal world. Ruling the immortal world. The fully deserving king of the immortal world. However, Xiao Han's eyes were as deep as an ancient well. Before the immortals could speak, Xiao Han took the initiative to speak. Everyone, there's no need to be courteous to me, Xiao Han. Now, the ritual formation for cultivating that ancient soul art has been set up. Everyone get into position. I will now extract your soul force. Make haste, I can also feel that the fusion of the heaven-devouring beast and the heaven-devouring beast is about to be born. A great danger is beginning to invade my heart. I can't afford to be negligent. Let's begin. At Xiao Han's command, all the immortals entered the void and set up a chessboard-like formation. An immortal sat cross-legged at the intersection of the longitude and latitude. Xiao Han sat at the center of countless immortals. Begin! A sharp light flashed across Xiao Han's eyes. His hands formed a series of hand seals and like a whale sucking in water, he extracted the immortal's soul force one by one. 99% of each immortal's soul force was extracted by Xiao Han through the air. Because these immortals were already Xiao Han's slaves, their memories would not interfere with the extraction of their soul force. Thus, the extraction of their soul force would not cause any burden to his own soul. Like a sponge, Xiao Han absorbed the glass-like rays of soul force to his heart's content. His own soul force rose steadily. In the depths of the vast universe. Finally, the demon god devoured the demon prince. No, to be more precise, one heaven-devouring beast devoured another heaven-devouring beast. In this way, the demon god's body doubled in size. The wild aura it exuded also doubled in size. The fusion was finally born. Ah, power. I feel invincible power. Ah, a single thought can obliterate a starry sky. Ah, the demon god opened its mouth wide. A terrifying black hole immediately formed, forcibly compressing and devouring a large part of the universe. In a breath's time, several stars in the distance were devoured. Extremely terrifying. To be continued? Chapter 783. In just a few hours, Xiao Han had all the immortals in the immortal world as his slaves. Even the Grand Mist Emperor, the leader of the immortal world since the beginning of time, bowed to Xiao Han. Now Xiao Han had started to practice the most ancient, mysterious, and invincible mental technique since the beginning of the universe. The formation was set up. Next, all the immortals were ordered to sit cross-legged at the intersection point of the chessboard-like formation. Xiao Han extracted the immortals' spiritual force with ease. All of the immortals' psychic and soul power were drained by Xiao Han like the currents of the ocean. In an instant, with Xiao Han as the center, an illusory whirlpool formed. Dazzling lights shone in all directions, shining into Xiao Han's soul. Xiao Han's soul became hotter and brighter, and auspicious qi and multicolored light intertwined. It was a marvelous sight. Xiao Han himself had turned into a blazing sun. The light and heat surpassed that of the sun, illuminating the entire immortal world. Even the real sun seemed to lose its splendor. Moreover, from the inside of the sun that Xiao Han had turned into, came an ancient song of praise. It was as if countless gods were sitting cross-legged inside, worshipping Xiao Han, and supporting him. Xiao Han himself could feel that his spiritual energy had grown to an unimaginable level. It gave him a majestic feeling as if he was shining with the heavens and earth, shining with the sun and moon. At this time, 99% of the Grand Mist Emperor's spiritual force had been extracted by Xiao Han, leaving only a tiny bit of his soul to guard his heart. Success. It's really a success. The Grand Mist Emperor's heart was pounding. He couldn't control himself. One had to know. The calamity this time. Even the Grand Mist Emperor had lost all hope in the depths of his heart. The truth was, he was living in despair. He knew that as long as the heaven-devouring beasts combined descended, the immortal world would be destroyed, and the civilization and order of the universe would be completely crushed. All living beings in the universe would become slaves of the heaven-devouring beasts combined, and even become their food. However, in the midst of despair, Xiao Han was born. A man of sages. The current Xiao Han was no less than the ancient sages who created heaven and earth, the ones who enlightened all living beings. There's hope for our immortal world. At this point, the Grand Mist Emperor was practically looking forward to Xiao Han merging with the heaven-devouring beast as soon as possible. As for Xiao Han, I have the powerful mental energy to create the immortal world. Xiao Han was very clear about his current state. The current him had reached a realm that was unimaginable in the past, for example. Now Xiao Han could simply imagine it. He could turn an imaginary object into a real object. Furthermore, this change did not require much energy. It only required a single thought. For example, Xiao Han could imagine a mountain range as he pleased. Then, the mountain range would be born. It would be a real mountain range that could nurture trees, flowers, birds and beasts. There's still a portion of the immortal's psychic and soul power that I haven't extracted. Now's not the time to be complacent. Let's continue. Xiao Han's body shook. Rays of brilliant light shot out and continued to absorb the immortal's spirit and soul. In the end, Xiao Han even used his will to envelop the entire immortal world, shrouding it in a layer of fog. In this way, Xiao Han's powerful and pure mental power would not leak out. In the vast universe, a gigantic creature that was so powerful that it could devour stars was flying in the universe. Wherever it passed, it would cause a terrifying disaster with a magnitude of 100. Wherever it passed, space and time would explode and shatter. Planets would be obliterated. Wherever it passed, everything would be destroyed, desolate, and withered. There was absolutely no sign of life. This gigantic creature was the demon god that had devoured Princess Yao. Ah! A many times stronger than before. The entire universe has become my backyard. I'm going to crush the entire immortal world. Now no one can stop me. Haha, I'm going to seize the body of that young man named Xiao Han. Haha, I'm going to seize his body. Young Xiao Han has become the strongest existence in the human race. He has the strength to contend against me. However, he can't even withstand a single blow from me. Ah. Immortal world, wait for my arrival. The demon god let out a sinister and cold laugh. However, the demon god did not fly to the immortal world immediately. Instead, it flew around the universe and arrived at an extremely special area. This area was a huge black hole. Inside the black hole, there was a shocking energy fluctuation. If this energy fluctuation was released even a little, it would be enough to cause an unimaginable blow to the immortal world. And this ripple of energy was very similar to the life signature of the demon god. Yes. The life characteristics that came out of the black hole were the aura of a heaven-devouring beast. It seemed there were heaven-devouring beasts in this black hole. The demon god stopped flying and stopped outside the black hole. Ah. I finally found a nest of heaven-devouring beasts in the universe. There are 5 heaven-devouring beast cubs inside. Perhaps these are the only 5 heaven-devouring beasts left in the universe. These 5 heaven-devouring beasts have yet to mature and haven't killed each other yet. Just nice, I can make them submit to me. The next moment, roar. The demon god roared at the black hole. The sound wave was like a tidal wave, carrying with it the power to destroy everything. It directly shattered the black hole. Then, 5 smaller heaven-devouring beasts appeared in front of the demon god. Under the demon god's powerful aura and pressure, the 5 heaven-devouring beasts immediately trembled. Then, the demon god transmitted some thoughts to the 5 heaven-devouring beasts. Soon, the 5 heaven-devouring beasts prostrated themselves at the demon god's feet, trembling, expressing their submission. Good. Now, bring these 5 heaven-devouring beasts to conquer the immortal world. After that, I'll find a place to devour all of them and absorb their life energy. The demon god was completely satisfied. Then, the demon god led the 5 heaven-devouring beasts toward the immortal world. A real disaster. The greatest disaster in the history of the immortal world was about to befall. The immortal world. Xiao Han's body emitted a blinding light. At this moment, Xiao Han's subconsciousness surged with a great sense of danger. Oh, the combination has been born and is marching toward the immortal world. Xiao Han opened his eyes and a huge beam of light shot up into the sky. Come on. This is the final battle. Let's see if the immortal world is destroyed or the combination of heaven-devouring beasts is destroyed. Xiao Han stood up. To be continued. Chapter 784. With Xiao Han's level of cultivation coupled with the fact that his mental strength and soul power were as bright as the heavens and the earth, and the sun and moon shone together, he had a strong and accurate sense of danger and premonition. Even though the monster god was still very far away from the immortal world, Xiao Han could feel the monster god's approach. It was a mysterious feeling. It could only be sensed but not described. In fact, Xiao Han could sense that the demon god was now many times stronger than before. Xiao Han stood up, his eyes glowing with a violent and unwavering battle intent. Xiao Han knew that the final battle was about to begin. This battle was not a battle between Xiao Han and the demon gods. It was a battle between individuals. It was a battle between 2 great races in the entire universe. The loser would face extinction. All the immortals in the world of immortals realized that the monster god was about to descend upon the world of immortals from Xiao Han's emotional fluctuations. Their eyes glinted with a solemn determination to fight to the death. However, when they looked at Xiao Han, they were also filled with blind admiration and confidence. The crowd of immortals stood up from the void formation. Their souls, psychic power, and hearts converged with Xiao Han's. If Xiao Han wanted to command all the immortals in the world of immortals to fight, he could unify their movements with a single thought. He would be able to command them with ease. However, Xiao Han understood that these immortals wouldn't be of much help in the final battle against the monster god. This was a fight to the death between him and the monster god, 2 existences at the top of the food chain in the universe. I've already extracted 99% of the psychic and soul power of all the immortals in the world of immortals. With the current state of my soul, I should be able to face the monster god head-on. Boundless divine light shone from Xiao Han's sea of consciousness. It was as if countless gods were sitting cross-legged in Xiao Han's soul, chanting incessantly. However, to be on the safe side, Xiao Han still issued an order. Fellow immortals, the final battle is about to begin. Please release all your immortal force to envelop the world of immortals and form a defensive barrier to delay the monster god's first attack. Because Xiao Han had only extracted 99% of the psychic and soul power of each immortal, there was still some left. Because of this, immortals were able to fight and use their immortal power. However, if one soul force was too weak, their combat prowess, combat techniques, and the execution of various immortal arts and divine abilities would be greatly restricted. However, he could only release his immortal energy to form a defensive barrier. This is not a problem at all. Xiao Han's order was quickly carried out. Xiao, every single immortal. They all released their celestial power, which intertwined together at the same time, forming a seven-colored barrier of celestial power that wrapped around the entire celestial world. This shield should be able to delay the demon god's attack speed for at least one breath. In one breath, I can release a few thousand spirit shock waves and a few thousand saber-intense slashes at the demon god. Xiao Han smiled in satisfaction. Xiao Han then issued an order to Bai Shi and the other beings from the alternate dimensions, telling them to come over immediately. Very soon, Bai Shi and the other 100 experts with strength equivalent to a high-grade immortal emperor appeared beside Xiao Han. Master, the curtains of the final battle are about to open. We request to fight with Master. Bai Shi and the others shouted in unison, not afraid of death. The immortals' morale soared when they saw 100 powerful beings appear. I didn't expect Xiao Han to have such a trump card. Even the Grand Mist Emperor was slightly surprised. What all of you need to do is to channel your soul force into me, then release your energy to strengthen this defensive barrier. Xiao Han did not waste any more time and immediately gave the order. In an instant, Bai Shi and the other beings from the alternate dimensions had channeled 99% of their soul force into Xiao Han's body. This made Xiao Han's soul force even stronger and more abundant. Then he released his energy to strengthen the immortal world's defensive barrier. Good. Now I have a higher chance of defeating the demon god. Xiao Han was very satisfied. The immortal world's defenses were nearly impregnable. Furthermore, Xiao Han's psychic power was completely restrained, ensuring that the immortal world's aura as well as the fluctuations of his own psychic and soul power were completely restrained, allowing the demon gods to sense the situation ahead of time. Demon god. We're getting closer and closer to the immortal world. At this point, there's only one battle left. It's not your death, it's my death. Xiao Han's aura had been brewed to the peak. The demon world. In the past, Princess Yao led a group of demons to attack the immortal world. Originally, the immortal world was on the verge of destruction, but at the crucial moment, the demon god appeared and lured the princess away, causing the demon army to retreat to the demon world. Now, the destructive fluctuation of the storm was not only sensed by Xiao Han and the people from the immortal world, but also by all the demons in the demon world. A war is about to break out. This war is mainly against the immortal world. However, once the immortal world is destroyed, our demon world will also be destroyed. What should we do? Are we going to join the army of the immortal world and form an alliance to resist this disaster? Impossible. Our demon race and the human race have always been enemies. It's impossible for us to form an alliance. This kind of thing has never happened since the beginning of time. Forming an alliance with the immortal world is a disgrace to our demon race. Forget it. Now, all the demon races in the demon world must eliminate the internal strife and unite. We must cooperate with all the immortals in the immortal world. Let's not talk about this matter anymore. However, we must release our demon chi to form a barrier to protect the demon world. The best result is that the immortals can withstand this disaster and at the same time, their vitality will be greatly damaged, allowing our demon race to reap the benefits. Alright. Let's all release our demon chi to form a defensive barrier. Protect ourselves. We must resist this calamity. Very soon, every demon in the demon world in the face of the impending disaster, gathered their demonic aura and formed a huge demonic power shield, shielding the demon world and protecting all the demon races within it. For the first time since the demon god was sealed, the demon race united. In the vast universe, a total of 6 heaven-devouring beasts were advancing towards the immortal world. The leading heaven-devouring beast was enormous. Its mouth was bigger than a planet. Its entire body was covered in dark golden mysterious patterns. Its eyes shone with the most evil light. This heaven-devouring beast was the demon god. After devouring the demon princess, the demon god claimed to be the strongest creature in the universe. The remaining 5 heaven-devouring beasts were smaller in size. They were the last 5 remaining heaven-devouring beasts in this universe. Now all of them had submitted to the demon god. Although these 5 heaven-devouring beasts were still young, their combat strength and destructive power were not to be underestimated. It could be said that any one of these 5 heaven-devouring beasts was enough to kill the Grand Mist Emperor. It seems like I don't need to do anything. These 5 heaven-devouring beasts are enough to destroy the immortal world. What Grand Mist Emperor? What Xiaohan? They'll all be destroyed. Too weak, they're really too weak. The demon god was satisfied. Finally, we're almost at the immortal world. The immortal world appeared within the demon god's perception range. But at this time, the entire immortal world was wrapped in a layer of hazy light. The demon god could not see it clearly. As for the demon world, it could see a layer of demonic chi barrier. The immortal world is being shielded by an inexplicable power. The demon god paused for a moment. There seems to be a plan brewing against me. But, in the face of absolute power, all schemes are useless. Suddenly, the demon god commanded the 5 heaven-devouring beasts to attack the immortal world. This was the demon god's first wave of attack. The 5 heaven-devouring beasts attacked the immortal world first. As for the demon god, he was holding the rear. To be continued. Chapter 785. Finally, led by the demon god, the 6 heaven-devouring beasts arrived in the sky above the immortal world. In an instant, an indescribably terrifying pressure enveloped the entire immortal world. That powerful and earth-shattering life force fluctuation seemed to be able to shatter the immortal world with just a slight fluctuation. Of course, the demon god's pressure was mainly exerted on the immortal world. Thus, the demon world, which was far away from the immortal world, only suffered a little. Even so, the demonic chi barrier began to ripple, as if it was in imminent danger. The immortal world. The sky above the immortal world was covered in a hazy gray. It was extremely mysterious, preventing any external detection from penetrating into the immortal world. This was a defensive illusion set up by Xiaohan's supreme mental strength. Inside the immortal world, boundless light radiated in all directions with Xiaohan as the center. Countless immortals sat cross-legged in the void, looking down and releasing their immortal force to form a sparkling, resplendent, flawless defensive barrier. At this moment, this layer of defensive barrier was enduring a huge impact, and cracking sounds kept coming from it. Of course, the heaven-devouring beasts had yet to launch their attacks. Just their pressure alone was not enough to break through the defensive barriers set up by the Grand Mist Emperor and the 100 high-level Immortal Emperor realm experts, as well as countless other immortals. Xiaohan sat cross-legged at the core of the Grand Formation. Suddenly his eyes flickered. I sensed traces of the demon god's life force. Princess Yao's aura is also present in this terrifying life force. However, it looks like Princess Yao was devoured by the demon god. The current demon god. Its aura is unbelievably strong. It's strong enough to swallow the universe and dominate the world. However, something's wrong. Apart from the demon god, there are 5 other heaven-devouring beasts' life force. In other words, the demon god has brought 5 heaven-devouring beasts. Xiaohan was slightly shocked. In an instant, because of the connection between master and servant, all the immortals, vaguely they knew that there was more than one heaven-devouring beast that had descended. Everyone calm down. Xiaohan immediately sent a telepathic message. There are a total of 6 heaven-swallowing beasts. Among them, the demon god is extremely powerful and unparalleled. As for the remaining 5, they are still very young. There is no need to worry about them. They should be the heaven-swallowing beast cubs that have not matured yet. Xiaohan was the backbone of the entire lower realm and even the entire human race. Hearing Xiaohan's words, Xiaohan's eyes widened. Only then did the immortals regain their composure. At this moment, under the demon god's command, the 5 heaven-devouring beasts were already charging towards the celestial realm. Ho! A wild roar rang out. The 5 heaven-devouring beasts roared in unison. The sound waves were like an apocalyptic disaster, directly spreading out. Bang, 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 bang. A huge explosion. Merely the roars of the 5 heaven-devouring beasts were sufficient to blast the densely packed stars in the vicinity of the immortal dimension into powder. Even the space in the universe was like a piece of paper as it was shattered. Space and time were distorted, causing the universe to sink into eternal darkness. Kacha, kacha, kacha. Countless immortals joined together to form a defensive barrier, but the roar cracked it with spiderweb-like cracks. The lingering sound waves penetrated into the celestial realm, causing countless celestial mountains to explode and buildings to collapse. The immortals sitting cross-legged in the void were shaken by the sound waves. The entire celestial realm was plunged into a state of extreme panic. The sun and moon turned dark, and the immortals sat cross-legged in the void. The immortals gritted their teeth and circulated their spirit and willpower to resist. However, they could not help but feel anxious. That's right. The combined roar of the 5 heaven-devouring beasts was enough to destroy the celestial realm. Without a doubt, this was the greatest catastrophe the celestial realm had ever suffered in history. If not for the defensive barrier that Xiao Han had ordered the immortals to set up in advance, the celestial realm would have been destroyed by now, flattened and reduced to ashes. If not for Xiao Han, the primordial emperor and his troops would not have been able to resist the 5 heaven-devouring beasts. Moreover, behind the 5 heaven-devouring beasts, there was an even more invincible demon god. Everyone stay calm. Don't panic. Xiao Han's voice was calm and gentle, reverberating in the immortals' hearts and minds, instantly stabilizing the immortals' instinctive fear. They're about to attack. Xiao Han's spirit and soul were extremely focused. His entire body emitted a glazed light, exuding the aura of a saint that could enlighten the world. Under the shroud of this aura, the army was not in chaos and everyone was at peace. At the same time, after a burst of wild roars, the 5 heaven-devouring beasts charged into the celestial realm without any hesitation. The demon gods behind them all grinned maliciously. Ha ha! The celestial realm is about to be destroyed. All immortals will become my food. Ah! Astonishingly, the voice rang out. The smile on the demon gods' faces froze. It was as if a fetus had died in the womb. The demon gods had a bad feeling about this. Something's wrong. I sense a terrifying mental force that can shake heaven and earth. There's something strange about the celestial realm. Also, I sense that Xiao Han seems to have grown stronger by who knows how many times. He actually gives me a feeling of enlightening all things, of radiating light, and of creating the universe. This is the aura of a great sage. Yes, Xiao Han could sense the demon gods' increase in strength, and the demon gods could also sense Xiao Han's change. Because Xiao Han and the demon gods had once shared a body. When Xiao Han had risen from a living target, the demon gods had always lived in his heart. The two of them shared a subtle feeling that was difficult to describe with words. Wait. The demon gods immediately stopped the 5 heaven-devouring beasts' attack. But it was already too late. The 5 heaven-devouring beasts had very low intelligence. They did not care about the mysteries of the celestial realm and charged in. They're coming. Finally, the 5 heaven-devouring beasts were very close to the celestial realm, about to tear open the barrier. Suddenly, die. Xiao Han's spirit jolted. Intense, unparalleled in the universe, containing all the immortals and 100 alternate dimensional lifeforms' terrifying mental and soul power, mixed with godly saber intent, blasted out. There was no technique involved in this attack. It was purely a direct attack of energy. With a tremor, a large area of space shattered like a pile of rubble. The 5 heaven-devouring beasts' cries stopped almost at the same time. Silence. As if their vocal cords had been cut off. Moreover, their huge bodies that were swooping down at high speed also stopped. Paused. Still. It was as if time had frozen, no longer flowing. The 5 heaven-devouring beasts were like trapped amber. The next moment, the towering bodies of the 5 heaven-devouring beasts completely exploded into pieces, disintegrated into dust. Thus, killed? A total of 5 heaven-devouring beasts were killed just like that? None of the immortals could believe what they had just seen. It was like a dream to him. The heaven-devouring beasts were the most powerful creatures in the universe at the top of the food chain. Even a cub was difficult to kill, not even one. But now, Xiao Han had destroyed 5 heaven-devouring beasts with a single thought, as easy as drinking water and eating rice. This mystical spiritual art is indeed heaven-defying and invincible. Xiao Han was also intoxicated by it. The next moment, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiao Han used his mental strength to fuse the powder of the 5 exploded heaven-devouring beasts' corpses into the broken barrier of the celestial realm. The celestial realm's barrier, which was on the verge of destruction, was not only repaired, but also strengthened. The 5 heaven-devouring beasts' life essence turned into defense. The celestial realm's defense became even more impregnable. To be continued. Chapter 786. Under the first wave of attacks from the 5 heaven-devouring beasts, Xiao Han used his soul force to blast the 5 heaven-devouring beasts apart. Such a method was simply unparalleled in the world. One must know that the heaven-devouring beasts were the strongest beings in the universe, and they stood at the top of the food chain. This was an indisputable fact, and it was practically impossible to kill a heaven-devouring beast. Yet now Xiao Han had actually killed 5 heaven-devouring beasts in a single breath. Moreover, he'd used the fragments of their corpses to form the defensive barrier of the celestial world. It was too shocking. It was an invincible technique. In the blink of an eye, the entire immortal world was in an uproar. People were cheering Xiao Han's name, and in the depths of their hearts, they were even more pious in their worship. As a result, Xiao Han's mental strength became stronger and more stable. His state of mind had almost reached an invulnerable state. However, Xiao Han wasn't arrogant at all. "I've extracted the souls of countless immortals, including super powerhouses like the Grand Mist Emperor and Bai Shi. In other words, all the power in the immortal world is gathered in my body. If I can't even kill 5 heaven-devouring beasts that haven't fully matured yet, how am I supposed to deal with the monster gods? Furthermore, the power of a demon god is many times stronger than these 5 heaven-swallowing beast cubs. They cannot be mentioned in the same breath." Xiao Han was extremely focused, quietly waiting for the demon god to descend, waiting for the final battle. At this moment, the defensive barrier of the immortal world that had fused with the corpses of the 5 heaven-devouring beasts was practically glistening with the radiance of the heavenly Tao. Give birth to the sun, moon and stars, and in the demon realm. All the demons. They were all stunned by the shocking scene just now. He originally thought that the 5 heaven-devouring beasts could instantly annihilate the entire immortal world. However, a boundless mental energy suddenly burst forth from the immortal world, dominating the entire universe and crushing the 5 heaven-devouring beasts. All of the monster spirits were well aware of the power that had erupted from the world of immortals. It was enough to raise the demon realm to the ground with a single thought. A supreme immortal has been born. It's over. Our demon world is completely finished. The immortal is going to unify the immortal world and the demon world. Some of the demons sighed in despair. At this moment, the demon god roar. Suddenly, the monster god let out a furious roar as well. The sound waves were like a torrent, spreading out in all directions, destroying everything it came into contact with. Just now, the demon god had already noticed some clues, but it was already too late for him to stop the 5 heaven-devouring beasts' charge. Just as that thought flashed through his mind, the 5 heaven-devouring beasts were already dead. Not even a speck of dust was left. Damn it! Impudent! To actually scheme against this seat. Roar. These 5 infant heaven-devouring beasts. I'm prepared to devour it. This is the source of nourishing energy that I urgently need. It was actually destroyed. What a waste. Unforgivable. The demon god was seething with anger. Soon he was enraged. The situation stabilized a little. It's Xiao Han. It's this brat again. You ruined this seat's good thing. Good, very good. He actually grew again. It had reached such an unimaginable level. It turns out that I was still planning to easily trample on Xiao Han and obtain his flesh shell. However, from the looks of it now, he has cultivated a profound ancient cultivation technique. As the demon god cursed Xiao Han through gritted teeth, he released the heaven-devouring beast's energy in the form of demonic consciousness. It enveloped the entire world of immortals and extracted a great deal of information. All the immortals set up a formation and transferred their psychic energy to Xiao Han. Even the primordial emperor transferred his soul psychic energy to Xiao Han. Interesting, this cultivation technique is quite interesting. But why is Xiao Han able to withstand such a vast and complex soul? Isn't he afraid of schizophrenia? Oh, I know. So it turns out that these guys took the initiative to become Xiao Han's slaves, allowing Xiao Han to perfectly take over their souls. As expected of a fellow with higher intelligence than the heavens. Xiao Han, this is the most difficult to deal with human with the most potential that I have ever seen. However, he is still a little lacking. Ah, so be it. Perish. After a bout of bloodthirsty laughter, the demon god finally unleashed his power. The true form of the heaven-devouring beast opened its bloody maw. Demonic light and the heaven-devouring beast's energy intertwined and fused. Then the heaven-devouring beast's body began to fade and vanish, leaving only its maw. A maw that encompassed all things in the world. The maw spat out cosmic storms, black holes and rays of light that could swallow the world in one breath. The demon god's own demonic energy as well as the heaven-devouring beast's origin energy after devouring Princess Yao, all poured into the maw. Then, the maw bit down on the world of immortals. The entire universe was compressed into a ball by the maw. It tightly wrapped around the world, sealing off the world's vital energy. Even the oxygen that living things needed to breathe began to condense, as if about to explode. Kacha, kacha, kacha. The world's defensive barrier began to crumble. It couldn't withstand the pressure of the maw at all. But strangely, the demon god had used all his energy to suppress the world of immortals, but not the monster realm. This was a little unusual. After all, the demon god was no longer part of the monster race. He could have destroyed the monster realm in passing, but he hadn't done so. The laws of order in the world of immortals were in chaos, collapsing. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, time, wind, fire, water, and other substances all disappeared. Mountains collapsed, the earth's crust cracked, the oceans evaporated, and all flora and fauna went extinct in an instant. The sun was also blocked. Oxygen condensed bit by bit, exploding. The entire world of immortals was about to enter a terrifying vacuum state. It was as if the entire universe was collapsing inwards, about to compress the world into a single point. At this time, Xiao Han didn't hesitate any longer. Fight to the death. Xiao Han condensed all his mental energy, all his saber will, into a single point, bursting forth with boundless light, shooting straight at the bloody maw of the demon god. Hong, Xiao Han's mental energy shone through the ages. Xiao Han's saber will cut through heaven and earth, dividing yin and yang. This strike contained the hope and faith of all immortals. The attack landed directly on the demon god's bloody maw. Pucci, the condensed universe was immediately blasted out rays of light, and oxygen was produced anew. But, it's useless. Destroy. The entire universe seemed to be left with only the voice of the demon god. The next moment, the bloody maw continued to bite at the world of immortals. Xiao Han's full-powered attack actually only managed to block the demon god slightly, but it didn't break the maw. Not good. Just a little bit more. Xiao Han cursed inwardly. Whoosh, 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 Xiao Han continuously shot out mental energy saber lights, bombarding the bloody maw, slowing down the speed at which the maw devoured the immortal world. However, according to the current situation, the immortal world would fall sooner or later. At this time, Xiao Han, there is still a heart demon in your heart. The existence of this heart demon has caused a crack in your heart, affecting your battle strength. Now, I'll let you make up for this heart demon. Make you perfect. It's truly invulnerable. The Grand Mist Emperor roared. The next moment, pfft. The void of the immortal world shattered, and a woman gracefully walked out. The moment this woman walked out, she looked at Xiao Han with boundless love in her eyes. This gaze contained indescribable yearning and love. At the same time, Xiao Han's gaze also looked over. To be continued? Chapter 787. The direct confrontation between Xiao Han and the demon god. This peerless battle had finally begun. This was a battle of life and death. One was an invincible species that had the demon god as its foundation and had fused with two heaven-devouring titanic beasts. The other was the strongest genius that had been born in the human race for countless years. He had absorbed the will of countless immortals and fought for hope. He had the aura of an ancient sage, Xiao Han. In such an ancient war, no other person or creature could intervene. However, in the direct confrontation, the demon god had actually suppressed Xiao Han. Xiao Han had condensed the soul force of all the immortals to form a blade intent that could sweep through the universe. However, it was unable to break through the demon god's defenses. Perhaps it was just a little bit more to defeat the demon god. However, in a battle of this level, that little bit was the key. It could decide the outcome of the battle. The demon god was about to conquer the immortal world in one go. At this time, the Grand Mist Emperor had used his final trump card. The void tore apart and a woman appeared in Xiao Han's vision with tears of longing in her eyes. Golden hair casually fell on her shoulders. There was a hint of nobility in her languid manner. Her eyes were like gems, her skin like ivory, and she exuded a noble aura. Xiao Yunrong. It was Xiao Yunrong who had been separated from Xiao Han for countless years. At this moment, Xiao Han and Xiao Yunrong's eyes met. In that instant, time seemed to freeze. The mountains and rivers disappeared. The demon god, the danger, the disadvantageous situation they were facing. All of it dissipated between Xiao Han and Xiao Yunrong. Everything. Complete silence. Yunrong? Xiao Han didn't dare to look at his eyes. His emotions were completely dazed. For so many years, no matter how many fortuitous encounters Xiao Han had encountered, no matter how much he had grown, there was always a woman in his heart that he could not forget. Xiao Yunrong. When Xiao Han was still a weakling, he had been schemed against and poisoned. It was Xiao Yunrong who had helped Xiao Han fend off a plot. She had not hesitated to die. She had consumed the poison herself to save Xiao Han. How could Xiao Han not know that her feelings for Xiao Han ran deep? After Xiao Yunrong disappeared, Xiao Han had searched the world for her, but there was no news of her. Almost in countless nights, Xiao Han couldn't help replaying the scenes of him and Xiao Yunrong getting to know each other. These scenes were simply too penetrating. It couldn't be erased. Not only could it not be erased, but, as time passed, it became clearer and clearer. Brand. This was the mark of regret. This was the greatest achievement of Xiao Han's life. It was also the strongest regret. When a person has regrets, there will be a flaw in their heart. Now he saw Xiao Yunrong again. Not only did she not die from the poison, but she had also become an immortal. The deepest regret in Xiao Han's heart began to heal. The two of them approached each other. Xiao Han's entire body erupted with a peerless aurora. This light was clear and flawless. It was like the first ray of light after the primordial chaos separated the yin and yang of heaven and earth. This was divine light. Holy light. Under this light, all of the imperfections, fear and worry in the hearts of the immortals vanished. The rest were all worshipping him. Submission to the universe. Under this light, the pressure and attack of the demon god seemed to be frozen. At this time, the Grand Mist Emperor nodded his head repeatedly. Good, this old man has put in a lot of effort. Now, this day has finally come. One had to know that the Grand Mist Emperor was an expert in divination, predicting the past and the future. After the demon god was sealed, the Grand Mist Emperor didn't let his guard down. He had foreseen that in the future the immortal world or even the whole universe would face a disaster. With the Grand Mist Emperor's ability, he was unable to predict the specific details of this disaster. He couldn't avoid the arrival of this disaster. This was a disaster that seemed to be destined by fate. It was filled with sorrow. However, the Grand Mist Emperor had painstakingly deduced that there was a way to avert this calamity. The two most crucial people were Xiao Han and Xiao Yunrong. That was why the Grand Mist Emperor had descended to the lower realm. First, to enlighten Xiao Han, and second, to save Xiao Yunrong. At this moment, the disaster had descended. The two people who could save this disaster, Xiao Han and Xiao Yunrong, were finally together. Finally, Xiao Han and Xiao Yunrong approached each other. Yunrong, how have you been all these years? Xiao Han choked with sobs. I'm fine. I just miss you. Xiao Yunrong's pretty face was flushed with shyness like a young girl's. The two hugged each other. Suddenly, this hug caused Xiao Han's body to burst out with an even brighter light. Boom! 10,000 rays of light shot into the sky. When this light shone, countless planets in the universe were immediately compressed and burned to ashes. The demon god at this time, what? Xiao Han's heart became perfect in an instant. This heart was as deep as the universe. What's going on? The demon god suddenly burst into a shriek. Damn it! Damn it! Swoosh! A thick ray of light shot directly at the demon god. Buff, buff, buff. The demon god's enormous body began to melt and collapse. Pieces of it were burned into nothingness. Roar! The demon god let out a shrill, heart-wrenching scream. This voice reverberated throughout the entire universe. The immortal world. Xiao Han's heart is finally perfect. His mental strength has reached an unprecedented level. He can destroy the demon god now. The spiritual light is about to melt and burn the demon god's body. All the immortals heaved a sigh of relief. Yunrong, destroy the demon god first. Then we'll be together forever and never be separated. Xiao Han smiled. Then he turned around and stared at the demon god. Boom, 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 boom. Dense rays of light shot at the demon god. The demon god's body was peeling off continuously. Xiao Han, you've eliminated the inner demons in your heart. Good. You've obtained terrifying power. But, you've miscalculated. Do you think you're flawless now? Do you not have any inner demons? Xiao Han, do you think you have a backup plan but I don't? Xiao Han, you're destined to fail. Suddenly the demon god burst into strange, wild laughter. This voice contained a plot that had been brewing for a long time. To deal with you, I also have a backup plan. To be continued? Chapter 788. After Xiao Han had reunited with Xiao Yunrong, his heart and soul had become perfect. Then, his spiritual force and soul force had reached an invulnerable level. The light from his spiritual force shone directly at the demon god. The demon god's gigantic and invincible body started to peel off. It started to melt and disappear. The eyes of all the immortals in the immortal world burned with desire. A disaster that could not be avoided seemed to be resolved at this moment. As long as this invincible fusion of heaven-devouring beasts and invincible beasts was destroyed, the world would return to peace. Peace and order would be restored. There would no longer be any destructive disasters. Puchi, Puchi, Puchi. The demon god's aura was weakening. His life force fluctuations were weakening. More than half of his body had been melted by Xiao Han's spiritual force. Almost everyone thought that the outcome was already decided. The demon god could no longer turn the tables. The demon god would walk the path of destruction. Even the demon clans in the demon world were certain that the demon god would die. However, at this moment, the demon god burst into hysterical laughter. Ah! It's not over yet. It's far from over. Ah! Do all of you think that I don't have any means to counterattack? Xiao Han, you still have a flaw. A huge flaw. The demon god's voice reverberated throughout the universe. Xiao Han, I know you very well. Back then, I happened to fuse with your heart. I was one with you. Therefore, I know every detail of your rise like the back of my hand. Ah! If there's anyone else in this world who knows you the best, then it's undoubtedly me. Xiao Han. Your current strength is as high as the sun and moon, as vast as heaven and earth. In the entire universe, no other species can contend against you. Then, even if you have a weakness, no other species can discover it. But I know your weakness. I know your weakness. Ah! This weakness is the trump card that I've always kept. The demon god's voice was completely fearless and confident. It seemed like he really knew Xiao Han's weakness. Moreover, it seemed like he could use this weakness. Turn the tables. Counterattack. Turn defeat into victory. Kill Xiao Han. At this time, the Grand Mist Emperor frowned slightly. That's not right. I've deduced the heavenly cycle and studied the young Xiao Han. The flaw in his spirit, which is also his weakness, is Yun Rong. Other than that, this young man's spirit is flawless. Untainted and untainted. How could there be a weakness? Was this demon god talking nonsense? The Grand Mist Emperor fell into deep thought. Xiao Han shouldn't have a weakness. Shockingly. Ah! The Grand Mist Emperor screamed. He almost cried out involuntarily, I know. Xiao Han. Xiao Han does have a weakness. As for Xiao Han, I got it. I know the demon god's so-called weakness now. Xiao Han could not help but look at his left arm. On his left arm, there was a deep tattoo of a demon emperor's palm. In the past, when Xiao Han was still a grassroot in the mortal world, a living target, the reason why he could rise so quickly was because of the help of the demon god's soul. However, the left arm of the demon the Arch was Xiao Han's first fortuitous encounter. It was also the greatest fortuitous encounter that allowed Xiao Han to rise like a comet. After fusing with the demonic the Arch left arm palm, Xiao Han had been killing his way through and his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. In the end, the left arm of the demon the Arch devoured the corpses of the demon race and even the corpses of immortals. It was so strong that it could kill immortals at will. At this moment, the left arm of the demon the Arch had already merged with Xiao Han's left arm intimately, completely inseparable. However, no matter what, the demon Thearchus palm was still a demon. And Xiao Han was a human. The merging of the two would definitely leave a hidden danger. Moreover, this demon Thearchus palm had been nourished and transformed by the demon god's energy. It could be said that Xiao Han's left arm of the demon Thearchus palm also contained some of the demon god's life force. Bus, 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 bus. Suddenly, Xiao Han's entire left arm started to tremble uncontrollably. From inside the left arm, a terrifying roar of 10,000 demon remnant souls came out. Gagagagaga. Xiao Han, you couldn't refine this demon Thearchus palm at all. It was me who helped you refine it. After that, I released the supreme demon chi and transformed your demon Thearchus palm. It could be said that from that moment on, I've left a way to control you forever. Gaga gaga. Now, Xiao Han die. Become a demon. Be completely oppressed and enslaved by me. The demon god's shattered body burst out with a shocking light. This light shone into the demon realm. In an instant, a strange scene happened. Boom, 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 boom. Under the illumination of this light, all the demons in the demon realm melted. They melted into waves of pure demon liquid energy. And then, the demon liquid energy, which was like the water of 3 rivers and 5 lakes, flowed into Xiao Han's left arm of the demon Thearka's palm like mercury spilling on the ground. Xiao Han's left arm of the demon Thearka's palm absorbed all the demon liquid energy on its own. In an instant, at least millions of demons in the demon realm were destroyed and turned into energy that flowed into Xiao Han's left arm. Roar, 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 roar. From Xiao Han's left arm, the roar of demons immediately resounded. The shocking demon qi began to spread uncontrollably from the left arm to every part of Xiao Han's body. The aftermath of the demon qi overflowed and hit the immortals in all directions. One by one they retreated and spat out blood. Roar? Xiao Han also let out a roar. His body was turning into a demon. Waves of demon qi were about to rush into Xiao Han's brain. The light of soul and mental strength expanded and protected Xiao Han's brain. However, after all, the left arm of the demon Thearka's palm was already a part of Xiao Han's body. Therefore, it was very difficult for Xiao Han to resist this kind of physiological backlash. Unless he cut off his wrist. Directly cut off his left arm. But now it was too late. The demonic aura had already enveloped Xiao Han's entire body at lightning speed. Except for his head, his whole body began to turn into a demon. Puff, puff, puff. Ferocious bone spikes grew out of Xiao Han's back. Scales had also pierced through his skin. Ah! Xiao Han let out a painful roar. Just now, the demon god's one move had melted all the demons in the demon realm and rushed into the left arm of the demon Thearka's palm. This caused the left arm of the demon Thearka's palm to instantly grow to a shocking level. Xiao Han could no longer control the situation. Ah! I've said it before. In this universe no one can defeat me. The demon god burst out with a sinister and triumphant laughter, as if he had everything under control. P.S. A new chapter will be released next week. As for the demon god and the lack of chapters, I will explain to everyone in the final speech. I will also do my best to make up for the mistakes. To be continued. Chapter 789. It turned out that the demon god also had some extraordinary tricks up his sleeves. From the very beginning, when he possessed Xiao Han's heart, he had already laid down his plans. He took the initiative to help Xiao Han refine the demon god's left palm. This way he would be able to plant a seed of demonic qi in Xiao Han's body. One day he would be able to use this seed to control Xiao Han. Finally, the moment had arrived. Just as Xiao Han's heart was about to use the ancient spiritual light to kill the demon god once and for all, the demon god finally used his final trump card. In an instant, all the demons in the demon world turned into a strange and eerie demonic qi that surged into Xiao Han's left arm. In an instant, Xiao Han's body had turned into a demon. Right now, Xiao Han's immortal body had turned into a sinister demon body. Countless scales and bone spikes burst out from Xiao Han's body. The thick and evil demonic qi was about to reach Xiao Han's head. Not good. The Grand Mist Emperor was terrified out of his wits, and he let out a wail of despair. Xiao Han is going to be demonized. In the blink of an eye, the demonic qi will invade his brain. This way, Xiao Han will have to use all his soul and mental force to resist the demonic qi and struggle. The demon god will have the best chance to defeat Xiao Han. It's over. I didn't expect the demon god to be so cunning and have such a trick up his sleeves. At this time, Xiao Han raised his head and roared. His body shook and pushed Xiao Yunrong away to prevent the demonic qi from contaminating Xiao Yunrong. He used all his strength to bring Xiao Yunrong to a safe place. At this time, Xiao Han's body, it was no longer under the control of his consciousness. Roar. A ray of mental force. It swept past the center of Xiao Han's brows. A divine light was emitted, blocking the demonic qi that was spreading towards him, protecting his last line of defense. Ah! Xiao Han, it's useless. The winner is king and the loser is the bandit. Now you can only accept your defeat. This is your destiny. Ah, from the day I entered your heart, this is already your destiny. You can't change it. Xiao Han, you're very strong. You're so strong that you can defeat any opponent. However, you can't defeat fate. The demon god's invincible voice sounded, looking disdainfully and controlling everything. Very soon I will completely occupy your body. Ah. Destiny? Xiao Han tried his best to resist the invasion of the demonic qi. In a split second, scenes flashed through his mind. Xiao Han did not belong to this world. He came from the 21st century on Earth. After transmigrating to this place, he could only be a live target. His fate should have been extremely miserable, and he would not have a good end in the end. However, at this moment, he had become the #1 person in the universe. What is fate? Fate should be controlled by oneself. Xiao Han's eyes suddenly calmed down, no longer struggling, no longer fluctuating abruptly. If fate really exists in this world, I should stay on Earth and be an ordinary person, live an ordinary life until the end of my life. I shouldn't have come here. If fate really exists, after I transmigrate, I should also die a tragic death. Therefore, I, Xiao Han, do not believe in fate. My fate is in the hands of man, not the heavens. With a single thought, Xiao Han's entire body erupted with all sorts of pure holy light. His eyes blossomed with the light of enlightenment. The next moment, boom! Xiao Han's soul left his body. A ball of pure white divine light directly drilled out from Xiao Han's body. Every inch of this ball of holy light seemed to have a noble and invincible God sitting in it, praying and emitting the power of blessing. This was a ball of the purest soul spirit. There were no flaws at all. If it was said that Xiao Han's body was damaged by the demon god and merged with the demon god's palm, it was incomplete and had a huge flaw. Then Xiao Han's spirit, soul and heart were perfect, without any flaws. At this moment Xiao Han, with great courage, great wisdom, great courage and great strength, directly abandoned his physical body and rushed out in the form of a soul. Xiao Han's voice came out from the towering holy light. Demon god, you're indeed very skillful. From the very beginning you've left a plan to control me. But, hey, your plan isn't completely flawless. At my level of cultivation I can abandon my physical body at any time. Although my cultivation base will be greatly reduced after abandoning my physical body, my strongest technique currently is the power of my soul spirit and the saber intent that can sweep through time and space. Without a physical body I can still kill you. Xiao Han's voice was full of wisdom. Abandoning his physical body. Xiao Han abandoned his physical body. In order to kill the demon god, Xiao Han abandoned his physical body. The group of immortals was shocked. Deep in their hearts, they were filled with admiration and deep respect for Xiao Han. The current Xiao Han was no different from sacrificing his life for justice. You still have such a trick? The demon god was slightly surprised. He didn't think that Xiao Han would be so straightforward and give up his precious physical body. One should know that Xiao Han's physical body was an immortal body that seized the fortune of heaven and earth. It contained many techniques. Even immortals with profound cultivation base used their physical body as their foundation. No one would be willing to abandon their physical body, let alone Xiao Han's physical body, which was superior to any immortal in the world. There was no other reason. Xiao Han became an immortal at a very young age. Even the Grand Mist Emperor had spent countless years to reach his current level of cultivation. In terms of age, the Grand Mist Emperor could not be any older. Xiao Han, on the other hand, was too young. Therefore, in terms of physical body, Xiao Han was more precious than any immortal. His quality was high and his potential was boundless. That was why the demon god could not forget to see Xiao Han's physical body. At this time, Xiao Han abandoned his physical body without any hesitation. It was beyond the demon god's expectations. Demon god, it's over? Xiao Han's voice came from the holy white light. It was the voice of judgment. Swish, a majestic saber light slashed towards the body of the demon god's heaven-devouring beast. Piff, the enormous heaven-devouring beast body was shattered into pieces. It was killed and turned into dust. Xiao Han, you want to kill me? Not so easy. The demon god let out an angry voice. In the next moment, a beam of demonic light burst out from the disintegrated heaven-devouring beast body. It was the demon god's soul origin light. This demonic light was also extremely powerful. After all, the demon god was now a huge monster. With its own body as the core, it had devoured 2 heaven-devouring beasts to nourish itself, causing its soul to be extraordinary. It was only slightly weaker than the current Xiao Han. A little bit weaker. In the blink of an eye, the demon god's soul had just appeared. It shot out like a meteor and rushed into Xiao Han's glabella, instantly occupying Xiao Han's body. After all, Xiao Han's body had already been demonized. The demon god was the lord of all demons. It could occupy this body with a single thought. So young. What a powerful body. After taking over Xiao Han's body, Xiao Han's stiff body started to move. His pupils had completely disappeared, transforming into a demonic and gloomy glow. Xiao Han's lips curled into an evil smile. He stretched his body as if he was familiarizing himself with this body. Ah, Xiao Han, your body is not bad. In the end, it was also completely occupied by me. Now, I have my own demonic strength, the life force of the two heaven-devouring beasts, and the potential of your body. And I can barely escape from your soul saber light. However, Xiao Han, your body is so young. In terms of potential, you are the best in the universe. In the future, I will hide and use your body to cultivate. Sooner or later, I will make a comeback and conquer the entire universe. As for you, Xiao Han, you have lost your body. No matter how you try to seize it, you will never be able to obtain such a perfect body. Ah. After a long time, Xiao Han, you will eventually fail. The demon god's voice came out from Xiao Han's mouth. Xiao Han's body was trembling because of his complacency. This scene was very strange. However, what the demon god said was not an alarmist. If the demon god obtained Xiao Han's body, it meant that he would have the best potential in the universe in the future. On the other hand, if Xiao Han lost his body, his combat strength would decline instead of improving. At this moment, Xiao, the demon god, controlled Xiao Han's body and dragged out an afterimage. He was about to teleport away. Boom! Xiao Han's soul light flashed and entered the space between his eyebrows. Immediately, two voices rang out in Xiao Han's mind. Humph! Xiao Han, your body has already been demonized. Now, even if you defeat my soul, you will only obtain a demon's body. It's useless. Demon God, I will destroy your soul. I will destroy you completely and destroy your Tao. Next, Xiao Han and the demon god's soul began to fight fiercely. As for Xiao Han's physical body, he sat down cross-legged. His body was trembling non-stop and his eyes were tightly shut. This. The Grand Mist Emperor's forehead and face were full of cold sweat. This battle has actually escalated to such a tragic level. Xiao Han and the demon god are fighting with their souls. At this time, Xiao Yunrong was also trembling with excitement. Her eyes were filled with worry. Master Xiao Han. Xiao Han, will he be all right? This? The Grand Mist Emperor's brows were deeply knitted together. The current situation is very strange. It has exceeded the scope of my knowledge. The Grand Mist Emperor was thinking about how to phrase his words. At this time, many immortals also crowded over anxiously. Grand Mist Emperor, what's the situation now? At this time, Xiao Han was sitting cross-legged. His eyes seemed empty but not empty. He had completely entered a meditative state. However, Xiao Han's body was indeed a demon's body. It was covered with scales and bone spikes. It was extremely sinister and terrifying. In Xiao Han's head, one could vaguely see a ball of white light and a ball of scarlet light fighting against each other, trying to devour each other. Xiao Han and the demon god are engaged in a soul battle. In other words, it's a battle of soul possession. Finally, the Grand Mist Emperor spoke. This is a battle of life and death. There are only two outcomes. One, Xiao Han's soul destroys the demon god's soul and successfully takes back his body. The other outcome is that the demon god completely destroys Xiao Han's soul. There is absolutely no third outcome. However, there is something strange. Xiao Han's body has been demonized. There is no cure. This means that the body that Xiao Han takes back is also a demon's body. Then, is he a human or a demon? As they spoke, Xiao Han's body suddenly changed. Some energy overflowed and wrapped around Xiao Han's body, forming a cocoon that emitted a blinding light. The inside of the cocoon emitted energy fluctuations that could dominate the universe. The Grand Mist Emperor and the other immortals stared at the cocoon with their mouths agape. They were at a loss for words. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a whole month had passed. There were no changes to the cocoon. But now the immortal world. At least it had calmed down. The monster race was annihilated, and the monster world was erased from history. The threat of the heaven-devouring beast was also gone. In fact, the immortal world experienced unprecedented peace and tranquility. Of course, the strangest thing was the cocoon. Every immortal knew that inside the cocoon were the two most powerful beings in the universe, Xiao Han and the demon god. Every day, countless immortals would stop to watch the cocoon, nervously praying that Xiao Han would emerge victorious in the end. However, 10,000 years had passed. The cocoon was still just a cocoon. Not only had the immortal world regained its former prosperity, more descendants of immortals had been born. The Grand Mist Emperor controlled the immortal world. Xiao Han's family had also undergone some changes in the past 10,000 years. Xiao Han's son had become a top true immortal. It was only a matter of time before he broke through to the immortal emperor realm. Xiao Han's wives, like his son Xiaoan, were about to become low-level immortal emperors. Wu Yu and Xiao Mingchu's cultivation had also increased greatly. Time could make people forget everything. The new generation of immortals had almost forgotten about the battle between Xiao Han and the demon god. They only knew that the hero who saved the immortal world and the universe was called Xiao Han. Another 10,000 years passed. The cocoon was still the same. Finally, everyone was sure that Xiao Han and the demon god would not hatch again. Only Xiao Han's family and friends would stand near the cocoon every day, clasping their hands together and praying. They believed that Xiao Han would come back. He would definitely come back. He will come back to reunite with us. I believe so, Mo Qingtong said. Yes, definitely. Xiao Yunrong nodded heavily. The soul battle between Xiao Han and the demon god lasted 30,000 years. On a certain day, crack crack crack, crack crack crack, the cocoon. Finally there were cracks. Strange energy waves were coming from it. The energy waves were so strong that they could destroy the universe at will. Whoosh, 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 with the Grand Mist Emperor in the lead, all the immortals approached the cocoon and hovered in the air. All of the immortals were filled with shock, fear, hope, worry, excitement, uncontrollable. Their eyes were glued to the cocoon. When Xiao Han's soul and the demon god were locked in a fierce battle, all the immortals were originally Xiao Han's slaves. But at that moment, the master-slave contract between them and Xiao Han seemed to have disappeared. That was why they had been unable to predict Xiao Han's fate for so many years. And the cocoon was about to break. Did Xiao Han defeat the demon god? Or did the demon god kill Xiao Han? The answer was about to be revealed. This was the answer that concerned the survival of the universe. If the cocoon broke and the demon god appeared, then the immortal world would be destroyed. The universe would be destroyed. No one could stop it. Pft, pft, pft. Pieces of the cocoon began to fall apart. The life waves grew stronger and stronger. All the immortals' throats went hoarse, unable to make a sound. Their hearts were in their throats. All of a sudden. Bang! The cocoon exploded. Finally, a living being appeared. A slender body with demonic lines, scales and bone spikes all over his body. An evil and cynical gaze. Every pore on his body exuded a vast amount of demonic qi. His gaze swept across the immortals in the sky. At this time, all the immortals' hearts were on the verge of shattering. The demon god. There was a thick aura of the demon god on this fellow. It's the demon god, the demon god. The Grand Mist Emperor was terrified. At this time, the scales, spikes, and bone spikes on his body retracted, revealing the perfect figure of a man. Handsome, cold, and his eyes shone with the light of supremacy. The body was still Xiao Han's body, and the appearance was still Xiao Han's, but there was an additional demonic qi and arrogance in his eyes. With my current strength, it seems I can destroy the universe with a single thought. I can sweep through the myriad worlds, he said with a chuckle. When his voice came out, the whole world fell silent. Dong, dong, dong. He began to walk in the air, walking towards Mo Qingtong, Xiao Yunrong, Xiaoan, and the others. Xiao Han's wife and sons looked at the evil man walking towards them. At this time, I'm finally back. The man let out a carefree laugh. The demon god's soul is finally destroyed by me. It's completely destroyed and no longer exists in this world. However, my body can't change back. It's a demon body. To be precise, it's an invincible demon body. I seem to have become a new generation of demon god. So, the winner is Xiao Han. How troublesome. However, my soul can control this demon body, so you can still see me as a human. Xiao Han smiled. Everything, the disaster is over, Xiao Han smiled. Boom. The whole immortal world was in an uproar. Xiao Han's wife and son had already rushed forward. To be continued? That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.